Dear students, welcome. Today we will go for the prose lesson. What is the language of the future? We are aware that what is the purpose of the language. So the purpose of the language is for communication. So we have several thoughts and feelings within us. If you want to communicate to others our own thoughts and our own feelings, then we need certainly a mode. So that medium is what we call the language. So language, the sole purpose is for communication. So as we all aware that we are good at our mother tongue, every one of us. Maybe you are a Telugu people, you may Telugu very well, or Tamil, Malayali, whatnot, or Hindi, Urdu. So likewise, everyone has their own mother tongue. And speaking in mother tongue, expressing in it is very, very easy. But as long as you are in your own territory, then using the language of the people of that particular area is really serves your purpose. But if you cross your own boundaries and enter into the new lands, where the language is different from yours, you need to learn them in order to communicate it very well. So if you are living in India is having so several languages, and people come from several say communities and all that. So we need a common language. That common language is what we call a national language, that is Hindi. So if you know Hindi, you can able to better communicate yourself and have better relations with the people in India. If you go abroad, naturally there should be one common language. If you want to travel for your education, for your business and all that, for trade and all that, we need a common language. As we all aware that today English has become so popular throughout the world, English is spoken throughout the world. So that way English is called as a global language. So as apart from our own mother tongue, we learn a national language, we also learn a foreign language, that is English. Since English functions as a global language for all your purposes like education, industry, commerce, and whatnot. For all purposes, we use the English. And today there is a great demand for it, and everybody wants to learn English. As we all aware that without having good knowledge in English, the career prospects are very very less. So in order to get a job, especially one need to know English communication very well. So that way people are going for even English medium, as a medium of instruction from their early stages. So that way, English has occupied really a very big place in the lives of the people. So that way, there is a craze going on, and the English fever is going on not only in India but everywhere in the world. So at this particular point of time, so the author wants to examine this particular lesson, that how English has come and how English has spread throughout the world, and how English fever is going on in the world, and could there be any language which could be the foreign, which could be a universal language, that means a global language, it can replace English. So if that is so, how can we continue learning English, or can we go for the language where, that is spoken or written worldwide? Naturally, we tend to go for them. So there are, what are the what are the dangers for the continuation of the languages, and what kind of English that we are going to see in the future, and what is the future of English language? This is all the content we have in our lesson, what is the language of the future. So with this, let me share my screen. So what is the language of the future? Henry Hitchings is a very popular writer of the modern time, and he was born in 1974. So an author and a critic specializing in language and cultural history. He had publications at a very young age, around 30 years or so. He published Dr. Johnson's Dictionary, the extraordinary story of the book that defined the world, in the year 2005, and sorry, the English and their manners in the year 2013. He also compiled the essays and edited the essays in the name of Browse the World in bookshops. And not only that, he contributed to many newspapers and magazines. He is a theatre critic for the London Evening Standard, and he is a fellow of Royal Society of Literature in 2015. So this is the introduction about the writer. So Henry Hitchings say examines what kind of future would be there for English language. If you come to the essay, just look at the main content of the essay is this. The essay that is taken, what is the language of the future, is taken from, it is an excerpt from the language wars, a history of proper English, which was published in the year 2011. So it is about the debates that shaped the English language. So how English language has come into this world, what shaped English language and all that he talks in, and offers an insight into the state of the language. So what is the current state of English language? How Koreans, how Chinese, and how other people in the entire world are pursuing it, and to what extent they went. So these are all about giving an insight into the current state of the language and today and its likely future. So not only today and also in the future to come. So this is all about the language of the future in this essay. There are three important factors he dealt in the essay. That is factors that helped the spread of English in the past, how English has spread in the past, so from British to the other areas, how it has spread and what is its popularity, and the reason for English fever in the present, why people are running after English, and why English has become lingua franca, and why English has become a global language, why people are striving for it, and what is that English fever kind of thing is going in the present time. So what are the reasons? And he tries to elucidate the reasons. Then he also talks about the challenges that the language is likely to face in the near future. So what kind of languages are uh, going to face English in the future to come? So these are the three important items he wanted to discuss, and she dealt in a very systematic way, and moreover, a lot of the study went into it uh, to know about the future of the language. So the opening lines are the no language has spread as widely as English, as we are all aware today. So English has spread to the nook and corner of the world. Everywhere English has spread as a language. So if you look at the languages of India, so especially if you take Sanskrit, Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. We say it is so popular in India, but it has not become a global language because it was not used for the trade. It was not spread throughout the world. So though the language is very old and more popular, more prominent, but in spite of all that, it has not become the language of the world. So if you look at any other language in the world, no language has spread so wide as English, and it continues to spread, and there is no end for it, and it continues to spread because still people are pursuing it and pursuing it. And as we all aware, desire to learn is insatiable. That means if you want to learn certain things, the desire will never end. There will not be any end for your desire of learning. So learning is a continuous process. People learn in their entire life, so something or the other. So the desire to learn will definitely be continued, and especially the desire to learn English language seems to be insatiable. That means so everybody is after learning the language. So because it has that important important thing to play in the lives of the people. So in 20th century, the world is becoming more urban and more middle class. As we see, in the world is a global village now. So the more urban we are becoming, and more middle class people are there. So the big cities everywhere there is an expansion, That way, the more urban cities are coming up, and most of the cities are filled with middle class people because they come for their own employment, their own education, employment, and health. For all these three reasons, middle class people are flocking to the urban areas. So urban areas are growing, and the majority of the urban areas are filled with the middle class. So in the 21st century, the world is becoming more urban and more middle class. And English serves as a lingua franca of business and popular culture. So English has become so prominent because it serves as a lingua franca of our own business and also popular culture. So the English culture is spread everywhere. So the popular culture it serves, and at the same time the business, for all our business we use English. So whatever trade that you want to do, so you want to exchange the goods and all that, we need to have a language. And English fortunately has become a mode of expressing the information from one to the other. So English serves as a lingua franca of the business and as a popular culture. And it is dominant, its dominant areas are shipping. If you want to export the goods to other countries, shipping is needed. Even in for diplomacy, that means the dialogue between the nations, or see any kind of exchange of thoughts, or see business activities. We need in diplomacy, in computing, in medicine and education, whatnot. English is useful in all the areas of our everyday functioning. So whether it is exporting, whether it is the foreign policies or own politics, whether it is computing, computers, medicine, education, whatnot, all other sciences also. So we are giving this information in one particular language so that people will be going for them. So that way, English has occupied a prominent place because it serves the purpose like this. So that way, for business, it has become a lingua franca. So he just go and sees the things in the world, how English favor, or the people are going for English in the entire world. So especially the United Arab Emirates, where people see they all follow Arabic as their own mother tongue, and so they don't need see the language of the world. But in once they have entered into the business and for their own culture and all, for their own trade and all that, certainly English has become compulsory for them. So in the United Arab Emirates, Arabic is associated with the tradition, home, religion, culture, school, arts, and social sciences. So Arabic, they learn everything. Whether they follow, they communicate their own tradition in their homes, in their religion, their culture, in their schools, arts, and social sciences also are pursued in Arabic. But whereas English is a symbol of modernity, work, higher education, commerce, economics, science and technology. So now the world has become global. So the commodities will see transfer from one place to the other. So people start using everywhere, and see any new invention comes will certainly go to the people. Any technology comes will certainly go to the people. Any scientific investigation has come into the world will definitely people want to use it for their own purpose, either for their health or for other purposes also. So that way, whereas English is a symbolic of modernity. So if you speak English, if you learn English, it is a symbol of modernity, and it's a symbol of work and a higher education. If you want to go for a higher education, do commerce, economics, and science and technology. So English is very, very useful. So that way, though they are retaining Arabic, they are giving lot of importance for their own mother tongue Arabic. And Arabic functions for tradition, home, culture, school, and all that are social sciences. But if at all they want to have a specific knowledge, a much higher knowledge, they are supposed to go for the English. So that way, they too considered English as a symbolic of modernity, work, and higher education, commerce, science, and technology. And even the subjects like science, see, are taught in English only, because there are excellent textbooks and other educational resources and material is lot of material is available in English, and see from the worldwide authors. So lot of material is available. So for all these things, so in the science subjects especially, they give and they wanted to talk, they wanted to teach in English. So as the resources are more and the textbooks are excellent, textbooks are there. So that way, English has become a part of their life. So that way, in education, if at all they want to go for science and technology subjects, certainly their priority will be English. So the priority for English has been rising and spread widely now. So though they are see very much connected with Arabic, but English also has become an alternative for them. And there is no alternative for English, especially for the subjects like science and technology. So for higher education. So that way, English, whether has entered into United Arab Emirates and people are following it, they are giving a lot of importance for that. And see, science and technology subjects are taught in English. So as the resources are more and more, so people are going for English see, medium of instruction there, especially going for science and technology subject that has become a mandatory for them. The propagation of English is an industry, not a happy accident. So the propagation of English throughout the world is like an industry. It's not a happy accident. It just not happened like that, but it has become an industry. If you want to know science and technology, go for higher education, make use of say medicine, make use of health services and all that. So the knowledge of English is necessary. So English as an industry, it has grown. So not just by an accident, but voluntarily people are wanting it, and see they are taking the products of the language. So that way it has become into an industry. And he just went through how English has become a prominent language in the entire world. So we all knew that English was spread because of the British colonialism. Britishers, in pursuit of extending their own kingdom, so they went to the various places, was the established colonies. Wherever they went, they took English with them. So all their operations, all their communication was in English, and wherever they are, they started importing English as a medium of communication. So that way, because of the spread of British colonies throughout the world, one time we have come to know that almost two-thirds of our entire globe was colonized by British. That means how far and wide they went, and when they went, they also took language with them. So that way, people who come under this colonialism have exposure of the language, have exposure of English language. So that way, British colonialism has made English language very popular in their spread, and the technological advances of the industrial revolution. We have seen that industrial revolution took place, and the impact of industrial revolution is everywhere in the entire world. So if at all you want to take up the technological advancements of the industrial revolution, certainly there should be a mode of communication, and the mode of communication has become only English. That way, science and technology, industrial revolution, the products of the industrial revolution have spread throughout the world. That way, English also spread. And American economic and political ascendancy, and further technological development. So if you look at America and its genesis and how it has grown economically and politically and all that. So again, English has helped them a lot. So that way, so the English has spread worldwide, and technological, let's say, industrial revolution has added its own advantages. So with all that, American economic and political ascendancy was also say become possible because of this. And now even till today, the further technological developments, whatever comes in the see all corners of the world will go. So this technological advancements also helped in spreading of in the spread of the language. So developments in the second half of the 20th century. So that way, English has spread far and wide today. So he further goes on explaining it how the language has spread to different areas. So if you look at the spread of English language, the massive exportation of English as a second language, as well as by the growth of an English language mass media. So look at see English now has become a second language. That means we have our own mother tongue as the first language, and we need another language certainly required because for our science and technology, and for the good career to make. So we need to learn English. It has become so very important, so very essential. So that way, as a second language, we learn. If you look at the world, apart from their own mother tongue, apart from their own language, so they also learn English as a second language. That way, English, if you look at the English as second language, the English as second language users are more than any of the language itself, as well as by the growth of English language mass media. So, because all mass media, if you look at, see whether it is electronic media or print media and all that, so everywhere English is used. So, because of the mass media, English language has spread far and wide in the entire world. So today it is English world's auxiliary tongue. That means today English has become a see helping tongue. That means a secondary tongue for all of us. So whatever you want to communicate, so English has become a mode for communication. So if you look at the today's the spread of English language, the English has more than has spread the more than 500 million see second language speakers. It has more than 500 million second language speakers. If you look at any language speaker, the true the people who are speaking one particular language, if you look at, so there are no more they are not at all equal to the second language speakers of English. So English has 500 million second language speakers in the entire world. So world citizens not trying to resist its progress. So the citizens of the world, if you know English, you are considered as a citizen of the world. The citizens of the world are not trying to resist its progress. Even see some of the see countries like Korea and China. So though there is a resistance in the early stages, but still they too wanted to say invite English as the language for communication. So they too are say making efforts. So that way, world is not trying to resist its progress. We cannot resist the progress of the language. Like see like self mortification. See, if you look at the Koreans way of learning English is Korean immigrants, see they go to the extent of tongue surgeries because the long vowels that they wanted to pronounce. So they felt that their tongue is not suitable for say the language. So even they are going for the surgeries, the tongue surgeries. That means how much they are say very how much they are interested in learning the language. So uh, though they are from Korea and the Korean language is there, they use for all purposes, even for trade, commerce, and all that. But certainly for the advancement in the science and technology, advancement in the world trade and all that, it has become necessary for even for them to see go for English tongue. So that way they started making surgeries to their tongues to learn English perfectly. So this is not an exaggeration, but so this shows that how much people are see interested in learning English and how English has become very important in their lives. And people will go to learn English and seduced by the belief that linguistic capital is equal economic capital. Why people are learning English? The major cause for learning English throughout the worldwide is that if at all they want to do the business, so if at all they wanted to grow economically, so certainly they need to export their goods. Import and export should be there. There should be production. There should be so many things scientifically and technologically. They need to progress. So that way, if at all you want to be economically good, you need to see learn the language of English. So the linguistic capital is equal to the economic capital. So if you are good at English, certainly you can establish the economic capital. So even if you are having economically sound, so if you are having the language, then certainly you are going to have an advantage. So people are going to learn English. Are further, he used the word seduced by the belief. So they may be seduced by the belief that linguistic capital is equal economic capital. They were of the belief and they were of the opinion. They're of the opinion that linguistic, if at all you want to be see economically sound, you need to learn language well. So that way, economic capital is equal to linguistic capital. So they give, and it might have seduced them. Funnily, he said, this belief has might have seduced the people to learn English. So whatever the reason may be, but today English has spread far and wide and having more than 500 million second language speakers. That way, even the more resistant groups like Koreans and Chinese, they also started learning English and also using into in their trade and in their everyday activity. So that way, there is no other language that you find in the entire world. So that so popularized English, and English has become the world's auxiliary tongue. So after say going through the research that he has made, that how far and wide English has spread, he found out these things. That means the spread of the English language has grown like anything, and you cannot stop it, and it continues to grow. Then what are the challenges that one need to understand if it grows far and wide like this? So if you look at the position of English as the dominant world language in the 21st century, so they give more preference when they are communicating with the world outside. They certainly need to go for English. So if everybody started using the second language as their own prime see way of communication, then certainly English is going to be the world's dominant language in the 21st century, because of the globalization and all that. We feel that English is a must for all of us. So in the 21st century, it has become the dominant world language. And the main one seems likely to come from Spanish and Mandarin English. So the main purpose of see what you call so the main purpose of what are the, if you look at the challenges side, so what are the challenges that English is going to have when languages spread so far and wide? So what are the challenges? So if you look at if you carefully examine the challenges that are supposed to get, so found two things. One is the Spanish and the Mandarin Chinese. So these may be the challenges. These may replace English, but are they really competent enough to replace? Are they really going to replace English uh, as a foreign, as a most popular language of the world? So, but both have more first language users than English. So, if you look at see both Spanish and Chinese, the language are very popular. So, most of the first language users are them than the English. So, most Spanish speakers are in the America. So likewise, these are the challenges that we have. So there may be an alternative for English language, that is Spanish and Mandarin Chinese, may come up. But nowhere, see, after careful examination, he found that Spanish and Mandarin Chinese are going to be the alternative for English language. Why? What may be the reason? So he goes into it. The main challenges to English may come from within. So nowhere, see, it's sure that the most popular languages other than English spoken in the world is Spanish and Chinese are not going to be the alternative for English language, and they are not going to become the world language at all. So there is no threat from these two languages. So then what is the threat? What is the challenge actually for English language? So when there is no challenge from other two great, see, the most used first language users of the world. So how can we have a challenge for English language? So he carefully examines and told that the main challenges to English may come from within. That means there are challenges coming from, may rise up from the users of English itself. That means they may come from within. You need not search for, see, somewhere else. The main challenge will come from within. That means there is a long history of people using the language of for the anti-English ends, of creative artists and political figures asserting in English their distance from Englishness or Britishness or Americanness. So if you look at, if you just go into the history, so most of the see, people using language for anti-English ends, or whether it is a creative artist or the political figures, see, they distance themselves from Englishness or Britishness and Americanness because they want to be local. So whatever they want to express and whatever they wanted to give to the world, so they all the time focused on what exactly they wanted to see communicate. And so they used their own first language, and even if they use their second language is not, that means this English as a second language. So the purpose is not for the language communication, but it is for their own say content that they want to deliver. So though they have used English, it is not for English. It is distancing them from Englishness or Britishness or Americanness. So that way, uh, nobody is very serious about propagating the language or upholding the language, and see, making it a, see, great one. So that means where is the challenge is not taken things so seriously, and see, actually they just want to see improve English, or in what you call, see, further further expansion of the language, but they use for their own means. And see, they have retained their own identity. So the Englishness, Britishness, and Americanness we can see till today. So there are the what are the two challenges that he talks about? So even see, there are no, earlier he thought that Spanish and Chinese may become as an alternative for English, but that was not there because they are not going to become the alternative for English. They never become a world language, so dominant world language as English. But the challenge is coming from language itself. That means the language from within itself. So that way, found out that the main challenge is from English itself. So what are the two challenges that English offers in itself? See, for continuing as the world's great language. So the two challenges stand out. Number one is English is important. It's a global ambitions that we all aware. So English is important. It's a global ambition. So we cannot deny it. But how to retain it is very, very important. So already the language is used by more people in India, and in China also learning the language is increasing rapidly. So English is important to its global ambition. So certainly, whatever the country that you take, people are still learning. And since Indians are having more exposure to the language for years together, that way still pursuing English as their own see mode of communication. So that way, in India it won't be a problem, and in China also they started learning language very rapidly. So Lai Young has developed a crazy English that is international muscles. That means even in China, they started using English language, and for internet, he coined the word about the crazy English as international muscles. That means so whatever muscle group that is going to take part in pronunciation of the language, so international muscles is said, but still they are crazy about learning language, crazy about using the language. And Lai's slogan is conquer English to make China strong. So he has already given a slogan that if you want to make China strong, that means if you want to spread everywhere and be a dominant country, you need to see the only hurdle for them is the language barrier. So he appealed the people that they should learn English. So if they can conquer English, certainly China will become stronger. So for other ends also, so English is not pursued for English, but English is pursued for see the fulfillment of their own needs. So that way, whether whatever the name that you, whatever may be the cost, whether it you call it as international muscles, whether you call it as for, whether you can use it for see growing fast and growing high, both economically and also both trade and all that, the scientific advancement and all that. So the only barrier that we could see before us is English. So he gave a call that conquer English. So learn English. That is only the difficulty with the see Chinese people to become number one in the world. So if you want to make your China strong, so conquer English. That was the slogan. That means if you look at the Lion's slogan and his own finding of the word international muscles and all that. So now English language is being spread rapidly even in China. So that way, if you look at these examples, we can say that English is important. It's a global ambitions. So this is the biggest challenge. So English should retain its position of being for meeting the global ambitions. So that is the biggest challenge that we are going to have. So what is actually the challenge is the learning English is the essential skill for surviving in the modern world. That means learning English is an essential skill. If you want to serve in the modern world, every communication is in English. So certainly without say having some good knowledge about the language, you cannot communicate well. So in modern world, so if you don't have the skill that is very essential for our own survival, is very difficult. So that way people are running after English. That's why we use the word English fever. So it is being spread far and wide. Everybody wants to learn English in order to get a job or to have a career perspective, or else if you want to make a trade, or else if you want to learn science and technology, or else if you want to travel outside, the language of English is has become very essential. And more particularly when it is the case of the occupation. So in the modern world, if you want to survive, the knowledge of English is very essential. So that way, speaking English has become very essential. So we have seen so many spoken English centers everywhere in the world to train their own people say in English for the effective communication. So the Englishness of English is being diluted. So actually, if you look at say carefully, the Englishness of English is being diluted. Surprisingly, it is its American flavor. So see, we try to use the words of the popular culture. That means whatever comes from America is being used, or is being simply accepted by the people of the world. The way the new trends see the see what you call in all the fields, whatever the new trends have come, we try to use them, we try to follow them. So that way more of American flavor that we are seeing, not only in pronunciation, not only in the spelling, but also of their own the words and all that see in the see fashion world. So there is the Englishness of English is being diluted. So that way we are really enjoying the American flavor now. The English center of gravity is moving. So the English center of gravity is British, and see going for the right kind of English has been see the center of gravity is gone, is slowly moving, and the 21st century the language has many centers. So we can see, suppose if you take Indians speak in English, Indians speak in their own way. That way we have Indian English, and the Britishers speak in their own way, we have British English. Americans speak and use in their own way, that way we have American English. Similarly, we may also see the different varieties wherever English is spoken, like in Korea and China and other places. So that way we are going to have many more varieties of English. So when there are many more varieties of English, so keeping up the Englishness is a bit difficult task. So there are see many centers of a language may come up in the 21st century because of this. Though we are using the same language, but because of our own mother tongue domination and having a local flavor, and for our own cultural purposes and all that, so we try to see modify the language. That means we try to use our own local see flavor into the language. So that way your English will become unique of its own nature. So that way, though we are all speaking the same language, but the pronunciation, the spelling, and the grammar and all seems to be wide different varieties. So the great challenge for English language is we're going through wide variety of see language, wide varieties of the same language. So if at all you want to communicate with the Americans, little American accent, American way of things that we need to know. So the what you call a neutralization of the see, you know, neutralization of the tongue, it all takes place. So accent and all that will take place. So that way, so again the greater challenge for all of us is not that the another language will emerge as a global language and we need to learn it as. But the only thing is how we are going to communicate ourselves with the rest of the world with our own accent, with our own local flavor. That is going to be the biggest challenge. So that way, see, keeping up the global ambitions is very important. But how are we going to keeping up the global ambitions with one particular language? See, if it is spoken, if it is used in the same way by everybody, is something different that can be easily possible, but it won't be. Certainly, every see variety will have its own flavor, its own variety. So that way, having so many varieties of the land of the same language, and again keeping up one standard and see communicating with one another, see we may find difficulty. So these are the two challenges that English is going to face in the future to come. So that way the challenge is not from outside, the challenge is from within. That means no other language is going to make a challenge to English or may become more popular than English language. There won't be any point in say looking at it. But only thing is the challenge comes from within. These are the two challenges author describes here. So if you look at the native speakers feel unimportant to learn other languages. So if you look at the native speakers, nobody is interested to learn other language. They feel unimportant. That means as long as they are not of any need, they don't go for them. So the reality, actually, it should happen, but the reality is different. The British companies missed export opportunities now because more, say, companies have come in the world, so they don't have see as many opportunities as they had earlier. And even the basic skill in between 20 to 30 years of age, the native speakers of English, they learn English till the basic skill is very much fascinating, very much useful till 20, 30 years of their age. But later they don't find any competitive advantage. So that way they just they serve the purpose of communication, but nothing apart from there's no challenging thing in it, no competitive advantage over others. So that way, see the basic skill of the native speakers of English language, see after 20, 30 years, they never find an interesting aspect of the language. So if you look at the British Council, which was established in the year 1934, so now which is operating in 100 plus countries throughout the world. So British Council is making efforts, to make English as a language of a good communication in the entire world. They spread into 100 countries, and moreover, more particular emphasis is given on the right English. So, but Sir Richard Francis said, Britain's real black gold is not North Sea, but the English language. So, the greatest advantage of the British Sea is not the Britain is not that gold in the North Sea, then what they call as black gold, which is a North Sea oil, not the sea oil, but it is the English language. So that is a real gold that they have. So that is the worth that they have, and so they started spreading the language in the entire world. And they are not doing that as an altruism activity. It's not an act of altruism. They are not just going for what you call with a good intention of see with a service purpose they are doing, but for their own trade they started spreading the language. So English for business is business for English. Now if you look at the statement, English for business is business for English. So English is used for business to propagate English throughout the world. English is used as a medium for business, but is business for English. Now it has become the business for English. So now the British Council is making enough efforts to educate the masses of the world, especially with the very important language skill that is English language. Now it has grown as a business. English has become a business now, the business for English. So English for business is business for English now. So that way, but while English is being pushed, it is also being pulled. So though English is being pushed on the others by the Britain and, and the British people, then certainly not only from the push is from that side, but even also pulling is also there. So the pulling means people are really interested to learn. So even they are see what little say infrastructure, what little facilities are there. With all that, they wanted to learn English. So it is not being pushed, but also it is being pulled. So that way, then even the native speakers who are enjoying English as their own first language are not at all showing that great affinity to it. That means that they don't find any competitive advantage over it. Though British Council has made enough efforts in operating in 100 plus countries, propagating English not as a service but as a business. But now today, English for business is business for English. Once it goes English for business for English, but anybody can do that. So how far this business can be continued? So everybody wants to have a local variety. So once they started using local variety, so what is the role of the British Council? And how can we expect that one particular English is the real standard English? Can we say that one particular English is the real standard English? It's very difficult, because all varieties are right as long as their people can understand it. So we can't say that British English is superior than American English and American English is superior than to British English or somewhere Indian English or the English from other parts of the world. So that way, so I just remind the what you call lesson that British and American English. See how R.K. Narayan's description of British and American English. So that also reminds me that you can't say that one's English is bad and one's English is good. So no variety is good and no variety is bad, as long as it serves the purpose of communication. So, but while when you are making English for business and is business for English, so then certainly these challenges will be there. But while English is being pushed, it is also being pulled. So both way. So there is no need to propagate now. Oh, people are really wanting, and they somehow they pull the language for themselves. So that way, spreading of language is there. There is no doubt about it. But only thing is, there are biggest challenges in keeping English language as a keeping the global ambitions of the language, and also English not being diluted is a biggest challenge, because many local varieties may come in. So the biggest challenge for language is from within. So what will be the consequences? So if you look at the challenges and the consequences, if you look at the consequences are so complex. So you can't say that this is only the outcome of that, the consequence of it. So it's not really intended. Nobody is really with an intention is doing that. Say English is to be spread, and the consequent, the alternatives, the challenges should crop up. Nobody is doing that. But though it is not intended, but English is taking on more and more local color in the different places where it is used. Just we were talking about this only. So wherever it is used, it has its own local color. So when so many local varieties are come, suppose if you English is spoken in 100 plus countries, if suppose 100 plus say local varieties will come, then what? See, communication again becomes a big challenge. So if there is one standard one everybody follows, will be different, but everybody see applies their own local color to it. So the local variety, local flavor to it, and they try to be so speak in that way, so they will be very comfortable. So as long as they are very comfortable in serving the purpose, that variety is being accepted, and that variety will be continued. If suppose everybody continues the same variety with the local flavor and the way they wanted to use it, then again understanding the see language at others say sometimes may become difficult because of the local traditional terms, local flavors, local accent, and all that becomes very difficult. So this is the biggest challenge that see English is going to have in the future. So the number of language in the world is diminishing, but the number of Englishes is increasing. So if you look at the number of words in the say language in the world, almost people started see they stop using that language because they are no longer in use. So many varieties, see many tribes and other varieties have almost extinct, and no longer people are using. People started using living in groups and living in cities and urban areas. So communication, they say they almost say for their own purpose of see what you call see employment and all that, they have migrated to the places where employment opportunities are more, and whatever the language dominant there, people try to use it, and they try to see employ them, they try to use them, so they got habituated to it. So that way, if you look at the number of languages in the world are slowly diminishing. The total number of languages are coming down, but the number of Englishes is increasing. That means number of varieties of the same English languages are being increased. So this is the consequence one need to face. And he said how to face and how to see, tackle this, and how to keep up the language for its own global ambitions is the challenges. So how are we going to address these two challenges in the future is a difficult task. So that way, the language of the future is such, he said. So, with these things, let me say conclude that English has grown. The author talked about how the growth of English has come into the world, how far and wide it has stretched, how very prominent it has become in the world, how very dominant it is also there. Whether there are any alternative languages that are going to come as a global language, or even if we see where is the actual challenge. So he found out that the actual challenge is from within English itself, because so many local varieties are spoken in English. So many local varieties of languages in within English is biggest consequence that we are going to see in the future. So with this, let me conclude.